Hey, what's up guys, rcinginsc here today. What we're going to do is another upgrade to this WLToys 12428. Let me say right off the bat, this does not necessarily apply to this vehicle. What I'm going to show you can apply to any RC car, truck, even a boat, if you're interested in doing it. Guys, a couple weeks ago I did an upgrade on this WLToys 12428. I took the FRSky 3-channel radio out, which was a pistol grip radio, and I put in a 4DR receiver, which is a FRSky, and I bound it to my Tyrannus. I didn't really go over how to do that, but today what I'm going to do is I'm going to install an 8DR, which is an 8-channel receiver. So it's going to give me all the options that I need and leave me 2 spare channels because I'm only going to be using 6. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go through all the setups. I'm going to show you how to bind it, set up your RSSI, how to discover sensors, and then we'll go through each channel one by one with the steering, the ESC, and all the auxiliary channels, and how to set that up in the Tyrannus. So we're going to go through this whole thing. So guys, if this interests you, hang around for the rest of the video. I appreciate it. Alright, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and bind up the radio to the receiver. I have the receiver sitting here. It's already plugged into the ESC servo. That's all we need to supply power to the radio, or to the receiver, excuse me. What you're going to want to do is go ahead and get your model selected on your radio, which I have. I'll go ahead and go through that real quick. I have the set. There's my model. Hit menu, page, and then you can just scroll up to get to the bottom of that. We're going to put it on bind, and this is going to get annoying for a second, but we'll have to listen to it. Now it's in bind mode. All I'm going to do is press the bind button on the receiver, turn the power on, and if you can see it, I got flashing light. We're good. I'm going to turn this off. Turn that off. Now if I power it back up,
telemetry recovered.
There we go, we got telemetry already, so that's bound. Let's move on to the next step. Alright, the next thing we want to do is go ahead and discover sensors on that. So I'm going to turn the vehicle back on.
Telemetry recovered.
Hit the menu, page, and I'm going to page all the way over until I get to telemetry. Right there. What you're going to do is scroll down, click on discover new sensors, and it populated, as you can see, it populated with some values, and that part's done. That's going to be important later. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and set up the ability to play out loud through the speaker what our RSSI value is, and it's pretty simple. I'm going to show you exactly what to do. I'm back at the main menu. I'm going to hit menu, page, and I'm going to page all the way over until we get to logical switches. I've already set mine up, but I'll let you go ahead and take a look at it. What you're going to do is, for function, you're going to select the AND function. V1, you're just going to pick any switch you want. SB minus or dash is simply this switch right here.
92 dB.
That is simply considered the middle position. And then for the AND switch, select the same thing. That's whatever switch you want in whatever position you want. Then what we're going to do is just go over to special functions. That's going to be L, or logical function 1. We want to go ahead and go over here. You're going to select play value, and then RSSI. Now the reason it's important to discover sensors is when you go to set this up as RSSI, if you fail to discover sensors, RSSI will not be an option. So if you go through this, and I'll just show you all these different things that you can choose from, if you go through it and do not see RSSI, then you have not discovered sensors yet. So do that. Once you have that, you should be good to go. Now I should be able to just click this switch,
92 dB,
and there it is. So the ability to play your RSSI through your Tyrannus is all set up. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and set up the steering and the ESC, and that's pretty simple. What you want to do is go ahead and have your steering servo plugged in. Alright, let me show you. I have the steering and the ESC servos plugged in already, so they're good to go. What you want to do is from the menu, page, and then page all the way over to inputs. And you can see I already have mine pre-labeled, so hopefully it'll be easier for you to follow since you can already see what I have in here. Let's go to edit and I'll show you what I got. You can give it a name. What you're going to do is you select aileron, only because I've selected the aileron stick to do my steering since it is self-centering. And one last thing is, if you see where I got highlighted right now, I have it at -100. That's because when I first set it up at +100, which is the default, I turned left, the wheels went to the right. So if you have that same situation, all you need to do is change that, which you would simply click on it and then just scroll, or however you change yours, and just change it to the opposite. Either -100 or +100 will change the direction of your stick. The next thing you want to do is page over one more time to the mixer, and then you can give it a name also. I've given it the name STR for steering. Your source will be carried over from the input page, and that's really all you have to do there. Now, it's going to be the same thing for the ESC. You can give it a name. What you want to do is the source will be the elevator, which I've decided to use the elevator to go forward because it is self-centering, and then I can pull back to go in reverse, and if I let go it will just stop. So everything else is going to be the same way. And again, if you have an issue with it going backwards when you hit forward, then you can try changing the weight, or maybe your ESC may need some adjustments as well. And then you'll simply go to the mixer page again. I have my, as you can see, I have my weight turned way down to 28 because 100 is just too squirrely. So you can give it a name. It'll carry over from the input page as input ESC. Give it a weight if you want. You can leave it at 100. And if you do need to turn the throttle down, this is where you'll do it right here. You just click on that and dial it down, and that'll limit your throttle. So as far as the steering and the ESC, that's set up. Alright, before we move on to the setup of the lights and whatever else you want to put on it, I do need to show you something. These guys right here are what's called radio or receiver controlled switches. I have 4 of them, 4 different channels that I'm using these on. I will leave a link to these in the description. The way they come in with both the jumpers already in here is the way you want to leave it. Okay, basically all this does is plug into one of your servo ports on your receiver, and there's 2 wires coming in. These do not supply power. These are merely a switch. You have to supply power through it. It's basically just a switch. If you had just a little toggle switch, it's the same thing. It doesn't supply power. So all these are stacked right here. They're supplying power, or supplying switching ability to both my front lights, my rear lights, my camera switching relay, and my horn. So I just wanted to make clear that's how this is all working before we go on and how to set these up. So we're going to go ahead and show you real quick on how to set those receiver control switches up. Alright, on your Tyrannus, what you want to do, menu, page, all the way over until you get to inputs. Whoops, one too far. Alright, now we're at inputs. You can see I already have all mine set up. We've already done the steering, we've already done the ESC. So my camera, that's simply operating a relay. None of this is any different because all it's doing is operating each individual receiver controlled switch. No matter what the function is, all it's doing is operating the switch. So all of these are going to be basically the same way. So let's just go in and look at what I got. Guys, you can give it a name, and then you simply click on that and select which switch you want. For this particular one, I have my, let me see if I can show you here, this switch right here, which is shoulder switch F. That's what's selected. Select whatever switch you want. If the switch position isn't where you like it, all you have to do is change the weight right there. Just click it and then go to a negative, or if it's already negative, go to a positive. Then what you want to do is go to your mixer, go down to the same channel, channel 3, and you can give it a name as well. It'll already have the input cam put in there from when you named it on the input page, and that's it. So every one of them is going to be the exact same way, and I can show you. If I go back to the inputs, I'm going to go down to the front lights, and this is probably a good example. I gave it a name, FLT for front lights. I selected my switch, which is this switch right here, my shoulder switch A. So if I turn that all the way up, it should turn the lights on. And the only thing is when I flipped it down, the lights came on. I want it to come on with the switch up. All I had to do was switch that to -100 on the weight. That reverses the switch position, or puts it however you like it. And the rest of them are going to be all the same. You'll just go to your mixer screen. You'll come down to channel, the appropriate channel that you just set up in the input screen. You can give it a name. It'll already have input, FLT, or whatever you have in there. It'll transfer that over, and that's really all you have to do with the mixer page. So the other two are the same way, the backlights and the horn, and that's it. That's all you have to do to set it up. So does it work? Let's find out. Alright guys, I'm going to hold this right here in front. Hopefully you can see everything. As you remember, this was the camera switching switch. Now you may not be able to hear it, but you can hear that relay in there clicking, so I know that's working. And I should be getting video from this camera switching to the back camera. I did a video on this just the other day. If you want to see how that works, go back and check out the playlist, and you'll see that operating. The next thing we set up was the front lights. We set that up on my shoulder switch A here, and it does work. Works just fine. I'll go ahead and show you the horn. That was on this shoulder switch right here. It's on a momentary switch, so I won't accidentally leave it on. If it's so far away I wouldn't be able to hear it. But it also does serve as a lost model finder as well. If you take it off a good ways running FPV, and you say you flip it over and it's stuck in some weeds, and you don't know exactly where it was, you can make it do that. So plus you can just kind of mess with your neighbors if you're driving around and you drive up in their driveway. You can give them a little honk and then you can drive away. So the last thing to find out is the rear backup lights work. That'll be the last thing. So let's turn it around. And that was on this shoulder switch right here. And I hope you can see that okay. Yes, they are working. So everything works. There's a lot more work I need to do with this. I need to button up my receiver and get my antenna wires run. For the most part, that's it. So I hope you learned something, guys. I really wanted to make this video for you. Hopefully you'll be able to take this information and upgrade your receiver to something like this. And not to mention too, this is a really good receiver. It's got really good range. So not only will it increase your range, you'll have a lot more functions. You can add on lights and all kind of stuff. So anyway guys, I've rambled on long enough. Hopefully that you got something out of it. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I'll be happy to answer them. And that's it guys. Have a great day and God bless you.